Alrighty, so we did do a previous video of 21 really cool new changes coming. This will be about 24 fast. Now, before we get through this will be the last video I'll be doing on just like stuff that'll also be covered in patch notes. If you want to know more, join us live. Whenever the patch notes drop, I will get a stream up as soon as possible and go through them all and give my thoughts on them. But these are a couple more cool things. Not all of them will be in the patch notes, so I thought I'd get them out. But if you're following this video and you're like, what happened with Marauder Champions or what happened with Kolek Suneater? I don't know. And we'll probably not know until the patch notes. Okay, let's get on with it. So things we'll cover first aren't just basic stat changes. Try to get some of the cooler and more exciting news out first. If you're a campaign player, maybe some of the stuff has bothered you. I am mostly a multiplayer-focused channel. I cover a lot of land battle tournaments and replay casts and stuff like that. So I'm going to speak about things from multiplayer perspective, but do know that this still applies to campaign units, just not what I'm proficient in, right? So people have been frustrated with Tzeentch for a while. The big bird models had issues. I did do a previous video when Warhammer 3 first launched showing that Tzeentch could path through Chaos Spawn, even though his mass... Kairos' mass is only 3,500. He could easily path through them. Now he is like every other unit. He has to walk directly away from something to get through it. And when he's pathing through something, if there's even a couple in his way, he will get mostly stuck and actually locked down. So the Tzeentch bird models, as far as I've seen, have been taking a lot more damage and getting stuck more in melee in a good way. Like if you surround them with monstrous infantry, they are there. They don't just like teleport out of them and are really annoying for people. So it's very, very good. More flying units news. A lot of flying units got mass changes. Some of them didn't, but even the ones that didn't do feel like they're performing better in three ways. Landing, escaping, and chasing all feel a lot better. So now when flying units attack something, they land directly on top of it. They don't like fly over it or miss it entirely. And when they want to get away, they usually can. Now a couple of these manta rays do get stuck a little bit, but you know, you can't expect everything to be perfect all the time. I mean, sometimes they are, you know, in the formation pretty deep, and if they turn around, there's a lot of source between them and escape, so sometimes that just happens. But the Furies were able to disengage super easily without much issue at all. Then when Furies are chasing a routing unit, they feel like they stick much closer to the ground. Some of their unit will stay up in the sky, but much more of them are actually on the ground dealing damage to the skinks that are running away. Whereas previously it felt like sometimes a flying unit that was chasing something that was routing would just fly above it, and that was really annoying. Now they're actually on the ground trying to hit them. So not perfect, but big improvement. Now on to some of the more obvious changes. We have all seen many funny videos of the dragons trying to land on models, and especially tall chariot models like Volkmar and the Greyseer, and they get stuck midair. They kind of just sit there T-posing, and they're not quite landed, they're not quite flying, they're neither of which. I did test Imrik versus Volkmar 5 different matchups. I kept just cycle charging constantly. I could not get the bug to occur again, and his charge animations were a lot better. He made a lot better contact. He barely ever missed a charge, like not missed and failed to deal damage, but like straight up missed the model, you know, and flew past him, which was also very promising. Volkmar won't let me take off here for a bit, but yeah. So as far as I know, and out of extensive testing, I haven't been able to replicate the bug that has plagued us all for so long in that, like, Malekith or Imrik or any dragon trying to land on someone and just failing to land outright. Just feels a lot better in general. And this will be a good transition from flying units into the next big change for multiplayer, especially. So flying, not just dragons, like even Pegasus type mounts or, you know, hippogriff mounts and that sort of thing. Attacking foot characters you would almost always miss. Now they land much better. They're way better at hitting things that are moving. They're way better at hitting infantry characters that are sitting still. It's just like flying to landing is much more accurate, much more interactive now, and they miss a lot less. But also, piece of news, is that foot characters take damage now when they are hit, even if they are knocked down from the hit that triggers on them. Okay, the misspeaks are over. We're on our A game now. So there were a lot of clips of Miao Ying specifically just staying on foot. Oh, shut up. Anyway, she wanted to stay on foot to be tankier. She didn't want to transform into a giant cool dragon because it was actually much harder to hit infantry models. And you can see Scarbrand, piloted by Mr. RTK's Platypus, is not having that issue whatsoever. He completely dumpsters Miao Ying. Getting knocked over isn't saving her. Is it making her invulnerable? Is it making it hard for Skarbrand to hit? A lot of his models are connecting correctly. It's just, it's how a giant demon fighting a mortal unit should go. Now, it doesn't mean they have to win every single time. I'm just saying, like, previously there was about a lot of dumb stuff where if his animation wasn't just right, like, the animation would miss. It wasn't about percent hit chance. Exalted Bloodthirsters were another model in early Warhammer 3 that had a ton of issues killing foot models. We had a video of a cultist of Nurgle on foot was literally unkillable for 14 minutes of gameplay between two Bloodthirsters. So just showing that even this model, it's not just Skarbrand all of a sudden doing better, it's just foot characters are hittable by large characters. Their animations are no longer stopping them from hitting foot characters like Miao Ying. So if your foot character has high melee defense, they'll still be okay. That was really loud. They'll still be okay. It's not just like, they're on foot, so they'll automatically get hit every single time, but two big changes happened that really dictate how foot units are now working correctly. One is, as we just saw with Drycha, when she gets knocked down, it felt like there was a checklist earlier where if you could either take no damage, or get knocked down, or take damage. There were three options, and now knockdown is like its own thing. Did you get knocked down, yes or no, and did you take damage, yes or no? I've seen knockdowns that didn't deal damage, but I have seen knockdowns that took damage, and that is a huge component. So like foot characters don't just get an invisible ward save if they happen to get knocked down. So Malice on the charge did just knock Drycha off her feet. There is a second pretty big change. I need to wait for this summon to go away. And it's how Malice handles himself, and any horse character handles themselves when they knock something over. Alright, he's knocked her over. He runs past her. And he's turning, and he's turning, and he's turning, but he stops and he turns. And you might say, what's the big deal about him stopping and turning? He walks past her, he starts to do the thing, and I haven't given him any different orders, and he stops and he turns. That is crucial. And I know that sounds stupid, but let me take you to another screen real quick. It's making fun of Malice, like if you listen to the audio.
He is down. Now, Spite, kill him. Oh, Spite, we lost the track a little bit here. Spite. Spite, we lost. Spite, turn. Turn a little more. Turn. Spite. Spite, goddammit. We got it. Fuck. Spite, turn.
Right? So you can see the bit is that he does this for clearly a minute and a half. Like, he never hits Marcus Wolfhard, just keeps running around him. So, like, that little thing about, like, oh, he stops and actually turns, like, yeah, it sounds stupid, but it's pretty huge in responsiveness of a unit when dealing with a foot character, is they don't feel like a motorcycle where they have to keep moving forward or something. It's like, no, they can just stop, turn, and attack. And Malice is doing that now, which is good, but, like, all horse characters doing that now. And to make sure it wasn't just giant monsters or horse characters or Cold One characters, I did also put the nefariously hard to kill Marcus Wolfhart versus Nakai to see if his attack animations would also work versus Marcus. Again, it's just a plethora of testing, but this is pretty huge news that foot characters can get bodied. They have been the bane of the meta, where if you wanted your Lord to be tanky, you would just put them on foot. Charge attack. Wolfhart takes the damage, Nakai keeps moving forward, so it doesn't even have to be a perfect dead-on hit to get the damage off. He's going to try running away again. Nakai does another charge, hits Marcus, and knocks him over while still dealing the damage. That is a huge change. I cannot stress it enough. So foot characters will no longer be the dominant meta for safety. They will be, if you want to take a cheap lord, then you put them on foot because you don't want to pay for the mount, but know that they are at risk, as they probably should be. So this is the last thing I'll say about it, then I'll shut up, but I just want to show you the Green Knight versus Ungrim Iron Fist. The entire fight, no frill, nothing. I just want to show you how well duels are working right now between these two characters. So, while they go on, yeah, the flying units have much better dueling, much better interactivity, all that sort of stuff. Mounted lords can deal with foot characters, so there's no jankiness about running around foot characters, there's no problems with that. No need to take a dragon mount specifically because dragons can actually hit foot characters. It's just things are working as intended. Duels look like duels. Now, they're not perfect, because, I mean, it's just like two guys swinging at each other, right? There's not a ton of linked animations between these two characters. I'm not saying there's no problems whatsoever with anything ever, but just things feel like they work, right? I showed in the previous video like this that Grease's Goldtooth felt a lot better. It's like he just swung. I cannot tell you how good it feels to have models try to interact with each other. And you've seen no dumb bullshit with this whatsoever. The Green Knight's hitting Ungrim, Ungrim's hitting the Green Knight. Neither is having a ton of issues with it. The charge went off just fine. Everything went well. So while we load in here, I will say that from what I have gathered from my sources, also the cheat mod has been fixed. It has been patched out. Now we will see if they find their way around it, because cheaters gonna cheat and etc. But the cheat mod, where you can see your opponent's army before the game even starts, has been patched out by CEA, they said, so we'll see. But that will make higher level tournaments more viable and a lot of paranoia go down. But anyway, that's good news for the tournament scene. Good news for everybody is the infinite rampage bug, as far as I can see, is gone. Saber-Tusk packs specifically are nefarious for rampaging and never stopping. I have at least 3 videos, I think, on my channel about it, and many live streams where I'm just screaming at my Saber-Tusk to come back! Please, God, just come back! Anyway, they don't do that anymore. Their rampage starts, and then after a set amount of time, it stops. So you can see 1 rampage is here. All 4 of these end up rampaging. They all eventually come back. So he's rampaging, he's rampaging, he's rampaging. So all 4 are rampaging right now. And if that is correct, that one will stop, that one will stop, then this one will stop. That one stopped, the last one is still going. They started in the same order they ended in, and this one will also stop rampaging. Now, I tried it on a couple other units that rampage, but since Saber-Tusk were the most nefarious, I did them for the demonstration to you guys, but I haven't noticed any infinite rampaging whatsoever, so that bug's fixed. Another thing to be mildly excited about, Malekith has had a long time bug where on his Cold One chariot, he could not receive healing because Soul Stealer didn't work with it correctly. Here I allow him to take some damage from Nakai. He's at 4,900 HP, throws down a Soul Stealer on Nakai, and he heals just fine. So Malekith's chariot is working. Another thing, I tested the melee version of these shrines and I didn't see the bug, but the ranged version is much easier to see. The triple fire bug from the Bloodrack shrine is gone, as is the triple attack bug from the same shrines. So that is good, that is fixed. They are just firing normally now, which probably means they suck again. But no more machine guns. Alright, I've gone on many rants about the Feral Mammoth being bad, but all Mammoth variants for Norska did get 100 gold taken off their total price, so they are cheaper. And charges for them are a bit better. They will charge into Empire Swordsman here and do decent-ish damage. They can push through now, but somehow the Feral Mammoth did the least damage, because of course it did, but Mammoth's charges are a little bit better. They're still probably a bad unit, but better is better. And on that note, a lot of large single entities just got better charges. I think the charge direction is deeper into the formation, so he's not trying to attack the first swordsman in this line, he's trying to attack like the middle, and it allows like big models like the Kemrian War Sphinx, but a lot of models to plow through them and do more damage. Also, someone in the last video was asking about skeleton chariots, so I thought I would just show them here. Most chariots are performing better, skeleton chariots included. They do pretty good damage to the swordsman. They're going to roll right on through. You can see the Kemrian War Sphinx actually took off about 1/5 of that unit's health on the charge as well. So charges for anything are just working better. Cavalry, large monsters, chariots, etc. just doing more damage to unbraced, lightly armored infantry. Now, if they're braced with charge defense, or if they have high mass or something, the charge will be less effective, obviously, but I used swordsman because it gets the point across. Alright, this is the last bit of stuff I'll go through. Obviously, again, there will be a patch notes stream as soon as the patch notes drop for everybody. I don't even have them yet. This is just stuff I've found. So if you want to know everything and anything, just hop in on that stream when it happens. Best scorers got a buff. They got better melee defense stats, I believe. Someone also said Cygor's got better melee defense, but I don't know that for sure. They're at 25 right now in this beta version, but best scorers got a buff, so that's fun. Doomfire Warlocks got their swords back, so they actually have swords, they have weapons now. People are excited about that. Someone was asking me if the Sisters of Avalon got their swords. They did not, and the Free Company Militia of the Empire still have no swords. They still fight with their fists. Norska. Ice Wolf Chariots got double their missile strength, and they are still hot garbage, but they did get double their missile strength, so good for them. Also, Famir Warriors got bonus versus large, but they lost a little bit of melee attacks, so kind of a mixed bag there. Overall, I think that is a buff. And Famir Great Weapons didn't get anything, so now Famir Warriors have 10 more melee defense, 5 less weapon strength, and like the same bonus versus large. So I don't know why you would ever take the Great Weapon version of Famir. I don't know about that one. That one's a little silly. Bretonnia, it was mentioned a lot. Grail Knights and Grail Guardians did get buffs. Grail Knights got bonus versus large and melee defense. They got more bonus versus large and melee defense. Okay. And then Grail Guardians got more melee attack and a higher AP ratio. The Lizardmen, we glossed over them several times, but I did stop and take a look, and both of their Kroxigor variants got much higher melee defense, I think 6 each, and the Kroxigor, basic Kroxigor, got more melee attack as well. For Skaven, yes, it is true, the Plague Monks got 100 gold off of them, but the Plague Monk Sensor Bearers got 50 gold off, so both Plague versions of units getting a little bit cheaper, maybe trying to bring them into the front line since Poison Globes are getting nerfed. And 4 units on the Greenskin rosters are getting decent buffs. I don't know if it's going to bring them into the meta, but they're decent buffs. Savage Orcs and Savage Orc Biggins got a higher melee defense to help them weather the storm a little bit. They are struggling to really get through front lines. And Savage Orc Boar Boys and Savage Orc Boar Boy Biggins did get a little bit more melee defense each as well. I still don't know if that's going to be enough to bring them to the meta, but they're trying. The last thing I will say is that somebody asked about Gotrek's heal. It is still bugged. It just does a green cloud around him. It doesn't heal him most of the time. Sometimes it'll heal him, but most of the time it misses, and then he just gets to fart around the battlefield for the entire time. That is it for the changes I've listed on the stream. It is not all the changes in the patch at all. We'll be going through it. There's so many changes, there's so many things, but the game feels better, it plays a lot better, and I'm super excited to host tournaments on it, and I hope you guys will join us. Roar!
Subscribe, yes, yes.